Hello, everyone. Lashana here, part of the All Things Child Care leadership team. We're so excited to talk about all things baby sleep. And we have a special guest. I'm going to wait for her to come on. Hello, hello, hello. If you are joining for the first time, please let us know where you're tuning in from in the comments. My name is Lashana. I am a business therapist and mindset coach, and I also am a part of the All Things Child Care team. And today we are literally going to be talking about baby sleep. I see my 5 people that you know need to be on the conversation. And you guys can go ahead and start putting your questions in the Q&A box. Please let us know where you're tuning in from. I see Cassie coming in. Hi, how are you?
Hi, it's Casey, by the way, but it's
Thank
fine.
you.
Don't worry about it.
No. Thank you. You know what's so funny? I was like, I should ask her how she pronounced her name, but it's fine. So thank you for correcting
Fine.
me.
It happens.
I know,
No,
but
you're cool. Of
it's
course.
very important, and I love the spelling of it, Casey.
Thank you.
So thank you for being on our IG Live series. Today's gonna be short, sweet, and fun.
All right.
Do me a favor, introduce yourself for the people, and we'll jump right in.
Of course. So my name is Casey. I am right now I'm a full-time teacher. I don't know if you knew that about me, but I am a teacher. But on the side, I am a pediatric sleep consultant. So I help moms and families out there help their babies get the best sleep that they can. I'm
I love
also a mama myself to a 2-year-old little boy named Oliver, and yeah.
so cool. Cool. So tell me, what made you get into the arena of baby sleep?
Well, my son really. When I got pregnant with my son, I think my husband and I's biggest fear was like, we're never gonna sleep again. It was just the most stressful part of finding out we were becoming parents, I think. And I just think there's a lot of information out there about what's right, what's wrong, and my job right now is just to kind of like funnel all that information and kind of get it out there and just remind moms and parents out there that like there's really no right or wrong way. It's really what works for you. And if it works for you, that's great. But if you want some help getting, better sleep,
Yeah.
that's where I come in. But yeah, I just became really passionate about it, and I was like, well, I started helping my friends. Like they were asking me like, how did you get Oliver to sleep? And then I was like, I can make money doing this. And so here I am.
I love it. So, Casey, baby sleep is very, 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 it's a hot topic for all
It
things
is.
child care. It's a hot topic for parents, period, right?
Yes.
And guys, pop your questions in the Q&A box because we have an expert here. And I know sometimes we kind of do what we've always done growing up or we do what we hear. Yeah. But being that we have an expert at our fingertips, we definitely want to utilize your brain. And then at the end, also let everyone know if you have a resource, a guide, or even, a session, an opportunity, whatever it is that you offer, how they can get tapped in with that.
Perfect.
Why do you think right now baby sleep is on the horizon when it comes to the need for parents to know?
Yeah, and I think it's just like with anything, right? Like it's becoming more clear that like parents really struggle with this, like especially moms. I feel like now, like postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety are being talked about more, and a lot of that is because moms are sleep deprived. And so I think there's just more talk around it, and obviously you have moms out there who are very anti like sleep training and things like that. And that's totally fine. Like I'm more here to like give you resources if you want to use them, and kind of just like shed light on there is a way to get better sleep, and there's also no one way to do it. Like there's many different ways to go about it, and that's why I love our method, is because there's no one size fits all, and we kind of take the parents' comfortability where the baby's at, and we kind of put it all in one and make like a custom plan around it, if you will.
Yeah, I love that. So it sounds like you take an individualized and personalized approach because, as you know, there is no rule book to parenting.
Yes.
There's no rule book to your baby sleeping. They have their own personality. you have your own household and house dynamic. So if you don't mind, I would love to learn more about your framework or how you approach a parent when they say, oh my God, help me. I don't know what to do. My baby's sleeping all over the place and I can't sleep. Like, what is your number one thing that you do, that you go to?
Yeah. So usually so if we have like a consultation, right? And somebody's like, this is what's happening, like my baby's not napping or my baby's waking up 5, 6 times in the night every hour. Usually what I do is I ask a series of questions. I kind of get some background, like what does your daytime schedule look like? Are you following any wake windows? Do you have a bedtime routine? Like I kind of ask these basic questions. And then once I kind of get an overall picture of what's going on, I use the training and knowledge that I have gotten from getting my certification and then also my year of experience, just in the job. And I kind of use, again, the information that the parents have given me plus all of my knowledge. And I kind of work with the parent to create a custom step-by-step guide/plan on how to accomplish better sleep. And like I said, there is no one size fits all, and some parents are comfortable with certain things and some parents aren't. And we usually have some kind of strategy that works for everyone. I think that it's important to know that there's a lot of negativity around like sleep training and cry it out and things like that, but we have methods that don't even involve those things. So a lot of times it actually has more to do with scheduling and wake windows and things like that than it actually does with anything else.
Got you. So you mentioned cry it out, right? Tell me more for some parents who maybe they know about it, but they don't label it that, or new parents who are like new in the conversation. What is cry it out and what is your philosophy on that?
Of course. So cry it out in a sense is basically where you leave baby to kind of learn how to self-soothe. That's what it is we're teaching them how to, either fall asleep independently or self-soothe so that they aren't so reliant on you to, number one, fall asleep, and then number two, transition sleep cycles in the middle of the night. Because just like us, babies wake up in the middle of the night. We don't even realize we do it because we go right back to sleep because we're able to connect our sleep cycles. Babies have to kind of learn that skill. And so cry it out is a method that kind of can help teach that skill. There's a lot of different ways out there to use cry it out. There's, what they call like the extinction method, which is basically like the old school cry it out where you put baby in the crib and you leave for the night and you don't go back in. That's not what we do at all. Our most popular method is what we call our modified cry it out, and it is a series of timers. I think it's pretty similar to maybe like the Ferber method. I think that's what it's called. And I usually talk with the parents about like, where's your comfortability? Like how long do you want to start with? There's no like one set way that you have to do it. The idea is that you let baby kind of see if they can self-soothe on their own. And if they're not figuring out, then you go in, pick them up, soothe them, calm them down, and then you kind of lay them back down and do the same thing for a period of time, just to see if they can learn how to self-soothe and fall asleep on their own.
Gotcha. Thank you for sharing that. As I see new faces in the plays, let us know where you're tuning in from. And then also, if you have a question, pop it in our QA box. We have a question right now. Is it quite common for a 12-week-old and 12-pound baby to sleep through the night?
Is it common? Probably not common, but it's definitely possible. So if it's happening for you, that's excellent. I always say, usually the pediatrician will tell you most pediatricians will say if baby has, regained their birth weight, by that, I think it's like first or second week appointment, then you don't have to wake your baby to feed them in the middle of the night. So you can kind of just let them go as long as they go.
I love that. All right. So Sarah Jane said recently he has been waking between 12 and 1 and crying, and it's hard to settle, but will sleep in my arms. Does he just want cuddles? Because from what I'm getting, it seems like she's saying he's not hungry.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible he just wants some cuddles. My question to you would be, my first question to you would be, is he independently falling asleep at bedtime? If not, it might be time to kind of try and teach him to fall asleep independently at bedtime. Because oftentimes when they wake in the middle of the night, if they're not independently falling asleep, and we know they're not hungry, it's mostly because they rely on you to go to sleep in the first place. So that might be something to try. And like I said, there's all different kinds of methods to achieve that. There's no one way.
I agree. It's almost like it's like I call it try, test it, tweak it, but be open and not so fixated on the end result, because
Yeah.
then that's what causes stress.
Yeah. Yes. And I think too, like sleeping through the night, this is the other thing. Sleeping through the night can mean so many different things to so many different people. Like oh, my baby's sleeping through the night. But well, does that mean that you're feeding them twice, but they're still sleeping through? Like it just means so many different things. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt that you see on the internet.
Yeah. And I would also say give yourself grace.
Yeah.
It's not going to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
But as long as you're being patient and you're trying the different things to see what works, you're winning.
Yeah.
All right. So our next question is, how many hours should a 5-month-old sleep a day altogether? What about the nap schedule during the day? And for how long could you give an example of time? So it's like three
Okay.
parts.
So first question, for a 5-month-old, you're probably looking at 3 to 4 hours of daytime sleep spread across probably 4 naps at this age, maybe 5 if you're having to fit in a cat nap at the end of the day. Wake windows, you're probably looking at about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So like I said, every hour and a half to 2 hours, they should be taking another nap. Ideally, nap would be about an hour, if not longer. And then I would also cap a nap at 2 hours. So if they're going longer than 2 hours for one nap, I would cap it at 2. That way they're not getting too much daytime sleep as well.
Good. I'm loving all the questions, guys. This is very interactive. And this just lets me know, as part of the All Things Child Care team, that we need more resources about baby sleep. And I don't know if you guys have been tuning into our stories. We have a free guide that you guys can grab. And then I also wanted to ask you, Casey, do you have a resource or something for them to go deeper in regards to baby sleep?
Yeah. So I think my most utilized source is just a one-to-one consultation. And basically, why those are so helpful is because, like you said, baby sleep is so individualized, right? So, like, it really depends on your baby and what your day looks like and what your goals are. And because everybody's goals are different. So, our consultations are really, our bread and butter of this business. So I'm happy to offer you guys like a 10% off. So if you shoot me a DM and you say, I watched the live, I'd love to get a consultation, I have you guys a 10%.
Can't hear you now. You probably got a phone call. No, can't hear you. Drop me a 1 if you guys can hear me. Okay, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, my Instagram was telling me I reached my limit for the day.
Oh, you have like one of those timer things?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what I just heard Casey say is, if you shoot her a DM, let her know you tuned in with All Things Child Care. She'll give you 10% off on your consultation. And then also, guys, we save these replays for the lives, and all you have to do is sign up on the replay link, and you'll be able to watch this again, whether you're here live right now or you're on the replay. And Casey, I want to tell you, thank you for offering that, because as you see, it's a hot topic.
Yeah.
And we don't want it just to say, we don't want it to stay just a hot topic. We want this information to be implemented, exercised, which then brings you probably to even more questions, because as you're making progress, guess what? Then there's another issue. When there's another issue.
Yeah.
And that's why we specialize in all things childcare, because things are not going to be perfect, but as long as you're making progress, everybody can win.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to refer to myself as like your sleep expert bestie. Like I want to be besties with you and be there for you through your baby's baby and toddler years. So like whenever you need me, it's like calling up a friend and just being like, hey, what do I do about this? And we chat about it and then we get it fixed.
Yeah, I love that. So we got a question
Yeah.
in the actual comments. I'm just gonna pop to it. My 5 months baby wakes up suddenly and starts crying as if he got scared. What can that be about?
It could be several things. It's not nightmares or anything like that. Babies don't usually get night terrors or nightmares until they're 2 or older. So it could be hunger. It could be baby's having a hard time sleep cycle transitioning. So they hit a sleep cycle transition and they just couldn't get back to sleep. So it could be a lot of various reasons, but not uncommon.
Got you. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So Nicole says a sleep regression at 8 months. Is that waking and screaming until held due to the separation anxiety?
Yeah, 8 months is a big age for separation anxiety. It's because spatially they start understanding that like when you leave the room, you're no longer there. Before that, they didn't really have the concept of that. So when they start realizing like, oh, my mom left the room, like my mom is no longer here in the space with me. So yeah, for sure, it could be just due to separation anxiety. And most regressions last on their own can last up to 2 weeks. And so if it's been longer than 2 weeks, it might be time to like look into resources as far as like looking at schedule or figuring out if baby needs to learn sleep initiation. But if it's been less than that, I always say pause and wait for at least 2 weeks and see if it kind of shakes out on its own.
I love that. So guys, I want to do a quick accountability check. Please let us know in the comments, what is your aha moment so far? What are you loving about this live? Give us some energy, give us some emojis, because one thing about All Things Childcare, we are choosing specific experts to bring you the knowledge, the expertise, and the information that you need so you can literally parent with a purpose is what I call it, right? Even though parenting has no rule book, you still have to have intentions and purpose when it comes to it. Otherwise, things get wacky and we get all over the place. So please let us know what's resonating in the comments. And then a couple reminders. Once we wrap up, you can DM Casey and let her know you want to book a consultation. You'll get 10% off. And then also click the link in our bio because our newsletter is available. We also have a replay link in our stories for this live. And then lastly, we are giving away our free sleep guide, which is available in our bio as well. All right, let's get some more questions going. Let's see. Okay, so my 9-month-old can't yet self-soothe. How can I help her with this and sleep initiation?
Okay, so she can't self-soothe. We have to teach her to self-soothe. So, I guess questions would be like that I would ask you is like, is she using a pacifier? If she's not, she'll learn to self-soothe using her hands. So babies who don't use pacifiers, especially once their arms are out of a swaddle, and I would assume she is because she's 9 months old, will start learning how to use her hands. First step, make sure that you're following age appropriate wake windows and that she's not overtired at bedtime. If she's overtired at bedtime, it will make it 10 times harder for her to self-soothe. So I would pay close attention to what daytime sleep looks like. Make sure she's getting the right amount of sleep, wake windows are not too long, and that's where I would start first.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So, Casey, can you give us, I'm finding this question, I just lost it. Let me get it. So 2 questions. The first one is, at how many weeks or months can you start sleep training?
It's a hot topic. Some people say 5, some people say 4. I always just say between 4 and 5 months.
Okay.
Yeah, you know your baby best. If you try it and it feels like it's not time, you can kind of wait a little longer, but usually we say anywhere between 4 and 5 months.
Okay. So I'm gonna give you a little break on the rapid fire questions because I know that at the end of the day, a consultation would be more effective if you may, because there's so many different variables.
Yeah.
But I wanted you to talk about, what would you say to a parent who literally is super, super stressed out because the baby sleep is not in their mind, it's not perfect, and it's impacting their personal sleep. And we already know how irritability
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff can come out of not having enough sleep. What quick tips can you give that parent who's stressed out over this situation, just to kind of give them some support?
Yeah. Well, I always start by just saying, like, you're doing great. You're not doing anything wrong. Um, it's just sometimes we don't know exactly what the right thing is to do moving forward. So we kind of just feel stuck, right? So, like I said, I think the main piece, really the main piece of good, solid sleep in a baby is following age appropriate wake windows, teaching baby independent sleep skills when the time is right, so that they can kind of foster that independence when it comes to sleep, because it really is hard when you're sleep deprived and it just feels like there's no way out, but there is a way out. Like and I can't, you know, the end goal for everyone is so different. Like waking up in the middle of the night for a baby is still normal. It's the every hour, if your baby's fighting sleep or is waking up every hour. I always try to look at it like this, like, remove the fact that you're not getting good sleep. We have to look at the fact that, like, now your baby's not getting good sleep. So that's kind of how I always approach it too. Like, especially if a mom is feeling hesitant to do anything about it, it's like, okay, you're not getting good sleep. Okay, that's one thing. And that's important. But also your baby is not getting the right amount of sleep either. And so it's okay to want to do something about that. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. You know what? I never really thought about that, because that means both parties are stressed,
Yeah.
right? And then with stress comes other behaviors. So I think if we just use more empathy and grace for ourselves as parents, caregiver, and the baby, and work together, it was like, how's the baby going to work with me? Trust me, we're teaching them and training them on how to sleep. And I also want everybody to know that this is temporary.
Yes.
Even though you're like, oh, it's going to last it's not going to last forever. This is a phase. It's temporary. And now we're getting resources to address it, and just be open to the journey, because there's no rule book.
Yes.
All righty. Let's see. Nicole said, how do you help a 7-month-old that just will scream nonstop until we rock him? He will calm down when we pick him up and rock him. Then we'll lay him down and he will scream again with nonstop.
Okay. So again, this is probably just a situation where you might have to take a more gradual approach to sleep training or sleep learning. This might look like you rock him until he's nice and drowsy, you put him down, but you don't leave. You keep your hand, whether he sleeps on his belly or his back, but you keep your hand on him. Maybe you're doing like an eyebrow stroke or something, and you're using shushing noises, or you're singing a lullaby, but you're standing with the baby and not necessarily leaving. And then you can kind of gradually scale back on your interventions as things go better. Not every baby is going to do well with a cry it out situation. So sometimes we have to offer strategies that involve the parents being in the room, and that's fine too. So you might need a more gradual approach.
I love that individualized piece. And I know sometimes we just want a black and white answer, but as you guys know, this is very colorful. This is very gray. Awesome. So let me ask you this, Casey. What is on the horizon for you? What do you have available to everyone as we wrap up? Because I definitely want them to be able to connect with you. What would you like to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Yeah. I mean, I think my goal is just to get the message out there to everybody that, like I said, there's no one size fits all to baby sleep. And it really is all about like individualized support. So that's why I love doing the one-on-one consultations. I also do, sometimes I'll do group sleep learning groups, like monthly groups, where it'll be like very small, like 5 to 6 moms in a group with about the same age range. And we kind of are all in a group chat together, and we go through the whole process together, and it feels like very safe, and you have each other to lean on when it gets stressful. And I love doing those. I think just like my goal is to just have it more available to more people. I'd love for a sleep consultant to be similar to like a lactation consultant, right? Where it's just a source that is now given to people. Like I'd love to see sleep consultants in pediatricians' offices. So, when you come in for your baby's checkup, hey, here's a sleep consultant. You want to talk to her about how things are going? That is like what I would love to see in the future.
Me too. That sounds so awesome. I think you should push that initiative, Casey, because to be honest with you, if the PCP or the general doctor is not well versed in it,
Yeah.
then your needs are not going to get met. I think you should stick on that. So
Yeah.
the reason why I love Q&A is because of vicarious learning. And when someone's brave enough and vulnerable enough to ask their question, you get to help so many people. And this live is not going to just end today. We're going to have a replay. And if Casey's open to it, we might just have her back in a couple months. But I wanted to answer this question because Jason asked it, but I'm sure there's some other parents who are curious. And the question is, how long should you wear a dirty diaper? Now, I'm not sure if he's asking in general. My mind tells me he's thinking about through the night. I don't want to assume. So let's just say through the night. Is that an issue for your baby to have a soiled diaper through sleep? Do you wake them up? And I'm literally just kind of asking this generally. What are your thoughts on that?
So usually my rule of thumb is if it's just pee, you can leave it all night. If it is, or unless it's like you can tell it's through the diaper, right? Like that's a different situation. But if you know the baby has pooped, I would definitely change it.
Okay. Gotcha. So they can sleep through the night if it's just urine, but if it's the other, number 2, then go ahead and change it. Gotcha. Awesome. So I want to tell you again, thank you so much for joining us on our IG Live series. Please stay connected with us. And for everybody that tuned in, you guys have been awesome, asking tons of questions. And we're going to grab these questions and try to answer them as well in our stories. And I also do not forget to get your free sleep guide. Casey, thank you so much for tuning in with us. And I just want to let everybody know tomorrow at 12 p.m. EST, we have another Instagram live series with a special guest. You guys have an amazing Sunday. And remember, all things childcare. See you later.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.